They say true betrayal doesn't come from one's enemies. It comes from those who claim to love us most. Imagine a lavish estate where a pregnant wife is forced to watch the father of her unborn child defend another woman. Picture the mistress, a venomous smile on her lips, raising her hand and striking the wife, her wedding ring glinting under the chandelier. And as shocking as that moment is, the biggest twist has yet to be revealed because the betrayed wife has secretly recorded everything. Prepare for a journey of deceit, heartbreak, and one final spectacular revenge that no one saw coming. In the heart of Arlington County, Virginia, lies an exclusive community known as Hillside Heights. Tall gates stand guard at the entrance, and the roads inside curve around manicured gardens and sprawling lawns. Multi-million-dollar mansions tower over green slopes, each property designed to outdo the next. The Greenwood Mansion, a magnificent Georgian-style estate, is arguably the gem of Hillside Heights. Built from imported brick and accentuated by grand white pillars, the house glistened under the bright morning sun, a testament to the prosperity and secrets of the family within. Inside this grand residence lived Olivia Greenwood, a wealthy entrepreneur in his mid-30s whose meteoric rise in the tech industry had turned him from a modest computer geek into a local celebrity. Dark-haired, tall, and charismatic Elijah was the kind of man who seemed able to charm his way into any deal, any partnership, and any heart. Alongside him was his wife, Olivia Greenwood, radiant at 30, known for her kind spirit and generosity, who had been thrilled to discover she was carrying their first child. For years, they were considered the golden couple until subtle cracks in their facade began to reveal a very different truth. It started innocently enough, slight tensions over Elijah's late nights at the office phone calls. He left the room to take hush-hush business trips that seemed oddly timed. At first, Olivia chided herself for being paranoid. Marriage to a mogul was always bound to be stressful, and pregnancy could heighten anxieties, making a woman imagine problems that didn't exist. Little did she know, she wasn't imagining the changes in her husband at all. One crisp morning, when Olivia was nearly 5 months pregnant, the staff busily rearranged fresh flowers in the sitting room. Elijah paced in the foyer, phone glued to his ear, his expression stormy. Olivia stepped down the winding staircase, a hand on her growing belly, feeling a pang of concern that something else was amiss. Over the past few weeks, she had overheard hushed conversations that ended abruptly whenever she drew near. Though she yearned for honesty, she often felt like a mere accessory in Elijah's pristine world, shown off for galas and parties, but left in the dark about his real feelings. On this day, the staff politely shuffled out, leaving them alone in a silent standoff. Olivia cleared her throat and ventured a question. "Elijah, is everything okay? You seem on edge lately." He brushed off her concern with a dismissive shrug. "It's just business, Liv," he said, not meeting her eyes. "A deal fell through at the last minute. I need to fix it." His tight-lipped response was a pattern she'd grown used to, and she cradled her belly, wishing for more from him, worried for the child growing inside her. But she kept her lips sealed. She had learned that pressing Elijah only intensified the distance between them. Nothing that morning, however, could prepare her for the chaos that was coming. Soon the name Rebecca Stone would twist itself into every corner of Olivia's existence, becoming the very definition of heartbreak, humiliation, and ultimately her path to a devastating revenge no one in Hillside Heights would soon forget. Just 3 weeks later, Elijah informed Olivia about a cocktail charity event at the Hillside Country Club. Known for hosting philanthropic galas, the country club was a gathering place for the rich and famous, and also the perfect environment for cunning social maneuvering. Olivia, still quietly worried about her husband's erratic moods, decided to go if only to maintain appearances. She donned a flowing teal gown that showcased her pregnant figure, her hair in a sleek chignon, determined to uphold the Greenwood name. Once there, under the glimmer of chandeliers and amidst the hum of wealthy patrons sharing polite conversation, Olivia felt a wave of relief to be around familiar faces, even though her husband kept drifting away to talk with men she barely knew. Sipping a non-alcoholic sparkling drink, she was about to seek Elijah out when a friend, Madison Brooks, nudged her. "Liv, do you know that woman talking to Elijah?" Madison gestured subtly with her champagne flute across the room. Olivia followed the direction of Madison's gaze and spotted a tall brunette, slender and statuesque, in a red sequined dress that left little to the imagination. She had one hand on Elijah's shoulder and leaned in a bit too close for comfort as they spoke. Something about her posture and the way Elijah occasionally pressed his lips together made a chill run through Olivia's spine. "No," Olivia's voice trailed off. "I haven't seen her before." Madison's eyes narrowed. "Her name is Rebecca Stone, I think. A new face in our circle. Rumor is she's been climbing up the social ladder with surprising speed, and not always by the most respectable means." Olivia swallowed hard, painting on a polite smile. She wanted to trust her husband, dismiss the rumors as typical high society gossip, but anxiety gnawed at her. Instead of confronting Elijah at the event, she simply observed from a distance, noticing the unspoken intensity of their conversation. Eventually, Elijah rejoined her, gave her a light kiss on the cheek, and murmured, "I need to finalize a deal. I'll be back soon." He slipped away again, leaving Olivia with more questions than answers. Over the next few days, little clues surfaced: an unfamiliar perfume clinging to Elijah's jacket, a suspicious message from RS on his phone, quickly deleted. Olivia caught glimpses of guilt in his eyes when he thought she wasn't looking. In her more desperate moments, she considered ignoring it all for the sake of peace. But the child growing inside her deserved better. The final straw occurred one evening when Elijah took a phone call on the back patio. The warm glow from the patio lights reflected on the glass doors, enabling Olivia to see his reflection. His expression lit up with affection she hadn't seen in months, and he whispered in an intimate tone, "I miss you too. Soon, I promise. I'll figure out a way." Olivia's heart pounded in her chest, tears pricking her eyes. Clearly, he wasn't talking to a business partner. Gently placing her hand over her belly, she felt her unborn child stir, as though it too sensed the looming betrayal. It was then that she resolved something: she needed proof. Proof that she wasn't losing her mind. Proof that her suspicions were valid and that Elijah's denials were lies. A week later, a discreet phone call connected Olivia to Gary Thompson, a private investigator recommended by a trusted friend. Gary was middle-aged, balding, with keen eyes that missed nothing. It took only one conversation for Olivia to confide her suspicions about her husband's potential infidelity. She explained the delicate nature of her pregnancy and her hesitation to cause public scandal. Gary listened quietly, taking notes. "I'll keep this discreet, Mrs. Greenwood," he promised, "and gather whatever evidence I can. If he's cheating, you'll know soon enough." Olivia felt a pang of guilt. She once believed marriage meant unconditional trust and loyalty, not private investigators and hidden cameras, but her future and her child's depended on uncovering the truth. It took less than 2 weeks for Gary to come back, with pictures Elijah meeting Rebecca Stone at a boutique hotel in Washington, D.C., their faces close as they kissed. Olivia's tears fell onto the photographs as she stared numb. The next day, she quietly installed a small security camera in their bedroom, cleverly hidden behind an ornate lamp. Elijah's late nights would lead to discussions on speakerphone or hushed phone calls in the privacy of their marital space. She needed it all recorded. She also carried a discreet audio recorder, hoping to capture any incriminating conversations. She felt guilty, as though she were betraying Elijah's privacy, but every time she hesitated, she remembered the pictures of him and Rebecca. The sting of betrayal hardened her resolve. Yet no part of Olivia's heart was prepared for the day her husband would allow the unthinkable, a vicious confrontation within their home that would leave her gasping for air, battered not just in body, but in spirit. Nor was she prepared for the horrifying knowledge that it wasn't enough for Elijah and Rebecca to carry on their affair in secrecy. They wanted her silence, her compliance, and ultimately, her humiliation. Rebecca Stone had not grown up in the world of private tennis clubs and beachfront vacations. Raised by a single mother in a rundown apartment complex in Cleveland, she was taught to hustle from an early age. She used her beauty and wit to climb the social ladder. Over the years, men of influence gravitated towards her dark, seductive charm. She learned how to manipulate, to please, and to exploit the men who craved her attention. When she arrived in Arlington, she was just another pretty face, but her ambitions soared higher than the black-tie dinners she attended. She wanted a man of status, wealth, and name, someone who could catapult her from a social climber to a queen of high society. Olivia Greenwood was exactly that. At first, she was just another business associate who latched onto him for networking opportunities. But as soon as she sensed the distance between Elijah and his pregnant wife, she swooped in to fill that void. Over sultry dinners and clandestine weekends at luxurious hotels, Rebecca studied Elijah's vulnerabilities and fed them back to him with flattery and submission. Before Elijah fully understood the depths of her cunning, he was enthralled, blindly protective of her. She felt invincible until she realized that Olivia Greenwood was no naive pushover. It unsettled Rebecca that despite the pregnancy and heartbreak, Olivia still looked graceful, composed, and respectable in public. More frustrating yet, Olivia's reputation for kindness and philanthropic work made her a darling of the community. If Elijah were to ever choose between them on the basis of public sympathy, Olivia would win by a landslide. But if the pregnant wife were exposed, humiliated, or made to look unstable, that advantage could shift. Rebecca had a plan. She wanted to provoke Olivia to gaslight her into a meltdown, to ensure that when the dust settled, Elijah would declare his wife unfit and choose her, Rebecca Stone, as the rightful companion to his empire. One rainy Sunday afternoon, Olivia was about to head upstairs for a nap when the doorbell rang. Through the stained glass window, she saw a flash of red and the outlines of an unfamiliar figure. The butler answered, and in walked Rebecca Stone, accompanied by a gust of rain-scented air. Her boldness was staggering. Rebecca had the gall to show up unannounced at the Greenwood mansion. Olivia's heart pounded in her chest. She stepped forward, one hand instinctively resting on her stomach. "Rebecca, is it?" The mistress smiled. "Yes, Mrs. Greenwood," she replied, her tone saccharine. "I hope I'm not intruding." "I'm not sure what you want," Olivia said, voice tight with an undercurrent of anger. "But you should leave." Rebecca raised her eyebrows in feigned surprise. "Oh, but I'm here at Elijah's invitation. He told me to drop by if I was in the area." You see, we have some business to discuss. A quiet tension choked the air. The staff had discreetly withdrawn, leaving the two women facing off in the foyer. Olivia refused to play hostess. She glared at Rebecca, exhaustion and fury swirling inside her. "Well, Elijah isn't here," she said succinctly, "so come back another time." Before Rebecca could respond, the rumble of an engine sounded outside. Moments later, Elijah stepped in through the open door, shaking rain from his umbrella. He froze upon seeing both women. His eyes flickered with panic, though he quickly forced a smile. "Oh, I see you two have met," he said, the tension in his voice betraying his false nonchalance. "What is she doing here?" Olivia demanded, ignoring the forced pleasantries. "I invited her," Elijah said, trying to steady his tone. "She's involved in a proposal with one of my startup investments." "Let's discuss it in the living room," Rebecca interjected smoothly, placing a hand on Elijah's arm as though it was the most natural thing in the world. Olivia saw it clearly, the same confident gesture that had so unsettled her at the charity event. Elijah didn't shake her off. "How dare you?" Olivia whispered, her eyes filling with tears. Elijah avoided his wife's gaze. "Let's just talk," he said, guiding Rebecca towards the living room. Olivia felt her world tipping upside down. She followed them, rage and heartbreak clashing within her. In the grand living room, the tension mounted. Rebecca sat elegantly on the white sofa, crossing her long legs, while Elijah paced near the fireplace. Olivia stood at the threshold, uncertain whether she should demand the mistress leave or wait for Elijah to do the right thing. "We should keep this civil," Elijah began. "I asked Rebecca to come because—" "Cut the nonsense," Olivia snapped, tears threatening to spill. "You think I'm blind? I have eyes, Elijah. I know exactly who she is to you." Rebecca shrugged, feigning innocence. "I'm just a business associate. If you can't handle your husband's professional relationships, maybe it says more about you than about me." A wave of shock rippled through Olivia. She was no fighter by nature, but for the sake of her unborn child, for the sake of her dignity, she refused to cower. Still, something made her hold back, calm herself. She quickly remembered the small recorder hidden under her loose sweater, pinned inside a specially sewn pocket. She was capturing all of this, and that knowledge fortified her. "All right," Olivia forced herself to say in a measured tone. "If there's some business to discuss, I'm sure we can handle it another time. Today is a family day. I'd appreciate it if you left Ms. Stone." The standoff lasted several seconds. Finally, Rebecca rose and brushed imaginary dust from her coat. "Of course, I'll be in touch, Elijah." She moved towards Olivia, close enough that Olivia caught a trace of the expensive perfume. Leaning in, Rebecca whispered, "I'll see you around, Mrs. Greenwood. Take care of that baby." Olivia's blood turned to ice. She struggled to keep her composure as the mistress stalked out of the room, leaving an impenetrable cloud of tension in her wake. When she was gone, Olivia turned to Elijah, tears now streaming. "I want the truth," she demanded. "Are you sleeping with her?" Elijah stared at the roaring fireplace, shoulders tense. After a long silence, he mumbled, "We're just close friends. We work together. You're letting your imagination run wild." Fury burned through Olivia. She turned on her heel, stormed up the stairs, aware that everything had been recorded. However this ended, she would have proof of Elijah's betrayal and of the mistress's audacity. In the days that followed, Elijah tried to maintain an air of normalcy, but the rift between them yawned wider than ever. He occasionally spent nights at the office, seldom answered her calls, and often claimed his phone was dead or on silent when she needed him. Meanwhile, Olivia busied herself, under the guidance of Gary Thompson, with collecting evidence. Every so often, late at night, Elijah would return to their bedroom and mutter half-hearted apologies, murmurs about stress at work, about deals going south. At first, Olivia tried to glean if he was truly remorseful or just stalling, but it quickly became obvious Elijah was addicted to the rush of this new affair. Despite his claims of just friendship, he spent more time with Rebecca than ever. Indeed, once Olivia witnessed an unapologetic brazen phone conversation on the balcony. "I'll come by tomorrow," baby Elijah said. "You know how much I need you." Olivia listened, trembling with fury, her mind on the hidden camera, capturing every last word. Let him lie, she thought, because the moment for truth is coming. It happened one Saturday afternoon that felt more like a showdown than a day of rest. The estate was quiet. Some of the staff had taken off, and those remaining were discreetly out of sight. Olivia was in the kitchen, preparing herself a quick meal, when Elijah waltzed in with Rebecca in tow without warning again. Their voices carried an air of forced cheerfulness, as if they'd come home from a pleasant outing. It was a jarring sight for Olivia, the mistress strolling through her kitchen like she owned the place. "Really?" Olivia asked, setting down the knife she'd been using to chop vegetables. Her face was pale, a mixture of disbelief and anger. "Again, you bring her here." Elijah cast Olivia an irritated glance. "We need to use the study business." Rebecca smirked. "Don't worry, Mrs. Greenwood. I'll make sure we don't disturb you. Enjoy your cooking." Olivia nearly choked on her anger, balling her fists at her sides. She forced herself to appear calm, remembering the recorder tucked beneath her blouse. She followed them to the study, refusing to be left out of earshot this time. The tension was palpable as Olivia hovered near the door. "Why do you insist on doing this in our home?" she demanded, tears trembling on her lashes. "Elijah, have you no respect for me or our child?" Rebecca rolled her eyes. "Oh, spare us the theatrics. How dare you?" "How dare I what?" Rebecca snapped. "Be his future. You're just a stepping stone he married to look respectable. But now he has me. And let's be honest, Liv, you're not the vibrant woman you were. Perhaps you've let yourself go. Pregnancy can do that, can't it?" Rage and heartbreak coalesced in Olivia's chest. Her breath came in short gasps as she shot a pleading glance at Elijah. "Are you going to let her speak to me like that?" Elijah swallowed, torn. He watched the two women with rising panic, but ultimately he sighed. "Enough, Olivia. You're making this worse." Olivia couldn't believe her ears. "I'm making this worse." She pressed a palm to her belly, feeling the child within. "You bring your mistress under our roof, and you're blaming me for your indiscretion." Rebecca advanced with a sneer, eyes narrowed. She flicked her hair back. "He's tired of you. Once the baby is born, maybe you can fade into the background and let me take care of him." Olivia's indignation reached a boiling point. For once in her life, she felt the urge to lunge at someone. But she remembered the recorder and forced herself to remain in control. If she lashed out physically, she'd only feed any narrative that she was unstable. "Get out of my house," she hissed, each word laced with venom. Rebecca gave a chilling laugh. "Or what?" In the next moment, a silence fell so thick one could almost touch it. Then it happened in a blur. Rebecca raised her hand and slapped Olivia across the face. The crack echoed off the high ceilings. Olivia stumbled back, hand instinctively shielding her belly from harm. For a second she couldn't breathe. Pain radiated across her cheek, mixing with the shock that this had actually happened. The two locked eyes, Rebecca's burning with triumph, Olivia's brimming with tears of betrayal. Elijah, stunned, took a step forward, but hesitated, torn between the two women. Instead of defending his pregnant wife, He turned to Rebecca and put a hand on her arm, as if to calm her. Rebecca, that was, you shouldn't. But he didn't rage at Rebecca. He didn't order her out. In fact, his concern seemed to be more about controlling the chaos than protecting his wife. And as if an invisible sword had severed the last thread of hope within Olivia, she registered the grim reality: the man she loved was gone. She turned her eyes fierce, despite the tear tracks on her face, and her trembling hand pressed harder against her stomach. "You'll regret this," she told them both, voice quivering with deep emotion. Then she spun on her heel and fled, ignoring Elijah's half-hearted call after her. But on her phone, pressed in her sweater pocket, the audio recorder had caught every word, and the hidden camera in the study, which Elijah had failed to notice, had captured every moment. The mistress's bold assault, Elijah's weak defense, the pregnant wife's heartbreak. It was all there, an undeniable record of brutality and betrayal. And though Olivia's cheek throbbed from the slap, the resolve in her heart only hardened. Olivia retreated to her bedroom, heart-pounding tears flowing freely. She looked at her reflection in the mirror, seeing the red imprint of Rebecca's hand. She felt humiliated, and her unborn baby seemed to respond to her emotional turmoil with restless movement. A wave of dizziness overcame her. She collapsed onto the bed, pressing her palm to her clamoring heartbeat. Moments later, her personal nurse, Karen Brown, rushed in. Karen was a gentle soul in her late 40s, with warm hazel eyes and a reassuring smile. "Mrs. Greenwood," she exclaimed, helping Olivia sit up. "You're trembling. What happened?" Between ragged breaths, Olivia recounted the confrontation. Karen's face turned pale with shock. She carefully examined Olivia's cheek and asked if she felt any stomach pain. "We need to ensure the baby is okay. Let's take your blood pressure and check the fetal heart rate." While Karen busied herself with medical instruments, Olivia tried to calm her swirling thoughts. She had never felt so violated, so betrayed. "This is no longer just about me," she reminded herself. "My child could have been harmed." The wave of protective maternal instinct ignited in her. If Elijah didn't care, she would. If he wouldn't protect them, she would. Karen's expression eased somewhat when she found the baby's heartbeat strong. "You're under a lot of stress, Mrs. Greenwood. You should try to rest. Think about your health. Think about the baby." Olivia nodded, tears welling up again. Karen's kindness only made her heartbreak more acute. With her nurse's help, she freshened up, changing into comfortable clothes, and stayed locked in her bedroom for the rest of the day. Meanwhile, she could hear footsteps and hushed voices downstairs. Occasionally, the house would fall deathly silent. Then she'd hear the distant sound of a car engine revving. She guessed Rebecca had left, and a part of her wondered if Elijah had gone with her. Yet she did not seek him out or text him. She needed time to think, to plan her next move, to heal from the emotional and physical blow. Late that night, footsteps outside her door announced Elijah's hesitant arrival. She heard the door creak open. Without turning on the lights, he approached her bedside. "Olivia," he murmured, "I just want to say I'm sorry about what happened." Her jaw clenched, bitterness rising in her throat. "You let her strike me, Elijah. You took her side effectively." He stammered. I'm sorry. She shouldn't have done that. But you provoked her." At that, Olivia let out a strangled laugh. "You're blaming me. Do you hear yourself?" He sighed. "Look, things have gotten complicated. You're hormonal stressed." "I just leave," she whispered, choking on her sobs. "You're the last person I want to see right now." Elijah said nothing more. The silence was enough. He turned and left the door clicking shut behind him. Olivia stared at the ceiling, consumed by heartbreak, but buoyed by a fierce resolve. She was done being the victim. She was done waiting for apologies that never came. She was done letting Elijah and Rebecca call the shots. With daylight came a renewed sense of purpose. Olivia spent the morning gathering every recording she had, the camera's footage of the slap, the audio capturing Elijah's betrayal, and the private investigator's photographs of Elijah and Rebecca's hotel trysts. She compiled them neatly into the digital files, backing them up on multiple drives. That afternoon, she contacted James Campbell, a respected family lawyer, known for his determination in defending the wronged spouses of high-net-worth individuals. Olivia explained her entire situation, from the affair to the physical assault. James, speaking in a steady, reassuring tone, agreed to meet her privately at a remote office in Fairfax, a precaution to avoid any media speculation or accidental leaks. The Greenwood name carried weight, and a scandal of this magnitude could become tabloid fodder overnight. At the meeting, James listened intently. Olivia described the humiliation, the heartbreak, and her deep concern for her unborn child. She confessed that she wasn't sure if she wanted a divorce yet, but she needed a plan. She couldn't stand by and allow Elijah's betrayal to continue unchecked. James steepled his fingers. Olivia, you have a strong case for legal separation or immediate divorce if you choose. The physical assault on you, especially while pregnant, is egregious, even if it was the mistress who struck you. Elijah's complicity, his failure to protect you, only strengthens your position. And with the recordings, you have direct evidence of what happened. Olivia's tears glistened as she rubbed her abdomen in slow circles. I just want to protect my baby, but I also want Elijah to realize what he's done. I want him to feel the consequences. James nodded sympathetically. We can craft a strategy. You're not obligated to share these recordings yet. We could approach him privately first, present the evidence, and negotiate from a position of power. Or if you want full public vindication, we can pursue that too. She took a shaky breath, eyes flashing with determination. Let me think about it. But I won't be silent anymore. He needs to realize I won't be shoved aside. James placed a hand gently on hers. I understand. Take your time. But remember, time is also your leverage. Keep the upper hand by deciding when and how to reveal your evidence. Back at Hillside Heights, word of tension within the Greenwood home began to spread courtesy of the vigilant staff who had witnessed more than they dared to admit. Rumors floated around social circles. Was Elijah Greenwood's marriage on the rocks? Did the pregnant Olivia appear more withdrawn? Some wondered if Elijah was cheating. Others guessed it was business woes. Meanwhile, Rebecca Stone continued to flaunt her association with Elijah, popping up at events, arriving in his Bentley, and letting rumors swirl. She loved the attention. It fed her ego to be seen with him. When confronted by mutual acquaintances about her closeness to a married man whose wife was pregnant, she merely gave a coy smile, neither confirming nor denying. For Olivia, the next few weeks felt like walking through a minefield of heartbreak, anger, and scrutiny. Yet she clung to the knowledge of her well-documented evidence. Each time Elijah came home, smelling of Rebecca's perfume, each time he avoided her gaze, she reminded herself, I have the power to expose you. It was a fragile equilibrium on one side, her desire to preserve her child's stable future. On the other, her longing for retribution and the ultimate humiliating downfall of those who wronged her. Even though Elijah avoided the topic of the slap, a tension pulsed in their home. Rebecca didn't come around as often, perhaps because Elijah sensed he was pushing Olivia too far. Yet ironically, his mistress's hold on him seemed unbreakable. When confronted, He spewed half-truths and excuses, but never truly left Rebecca. Olivia felt the weight of her unborn baby. The pregnancy advanced her belly, becoming more noticeable. Her maternal instincts roared that she had to shield this child from a toxic environment. The question was whether to do it quietly or to wage open war. Night after night, she tossed in bed, searching her heart for the right path. Olivia hadn't planned on releasing the evidence so soon. She intended to hold it like a trump card for the right moment. But life sometimes dictates our steps in unexpected ways. During a midday lunch with her friend Madison, Olivia's phone buzzed repeatedly. She glanced at the screen to find a barrage of frantic messages. A swirling sense of dread coursed through her. She opened her social media apps and found chaos. A video clip had been leaked online footage from the Greenwood mansion's study. It showed a heavily pregnant Olivia face-to-face with Elijah and Rebecca Stone. The culminating moment, the slap played in crisp detail, followed by Elijah's half-baked attempt to calm Rebecca. Thousands of views poured in, accompanied by an avalanche of comments. Some expressed horror at the assault, others spewed vile speculation about the Greenwood marriage, and a few even blamed Olivia for provoking the confrontation. Trembling, Olivia realized that the file she had carefully guarded must have been compromised. But how? She dialed Gary Thompson, the private investigator, who insisted he had kept everything secure. Next, she rang James Campbell. "James, the video is out. This changes everything," she said, her voice shaking with a blend of panic and strange relief. James cursed under his breath. "Then we act fast, Olivia. Call Elijah. Tell him you want an immediate meeting. Offer him a chance to settle things privately, or you'll escalate this." She fumbled her phone, uncertain if she could face Elijah directly, but she had no choice. After hours of ignoring her calls, Elijah finally picked up. He sounded angry, frantic. "Olivia, have you lost your mind? This video is all over the internet, humiliating me, humiliating our family." She interrupted, her voice trembling. "I didn't leak it, Elijah, but maybe it's exactly what you deserve. Now the world sees what happened." He swallowed. "Let's handle this quietly. We'll say it's a doctored video, some elaborate hoax." A humorless laugh escaped her. "Seriously, a hoax? That won't work. The evidence is too detailed. And do you think I'd lie to protect you and your mistress after she assaulted me and endangered our baby?" Silence followed. Eventually, Elijah conceded. "What do you want?" "Meet me at James Campbell's office tomorrow at 10, Olivia said. "We'll discuss terms." She hung up, heart thundering. For once, Elijah sounded unsure, even scared. Rebecca's humiliating assault on a pregnant wife had gone viral, and Elijah's complicity was center stage for the entire world to judge. Maybe karma has come calling. Olivia thought, a flicker of grim satisfaction warring with her heartbreak. The next morning, Olivia arrived at James Campbell's discreet office. Nestled in a quieter part of Fairfax, the building was unremarkable, providing privacy for high-profile clients. Inside the sleek conference room, she waited with James, who had neatly arranged a stack of paperwork and evidence, including high-quality stills from the video. At exactly 10, the door swung open. Elijah stepped in, looking haggard and older than his 30-something years. Behind him was an attorney of his own, Rachel Donovan, a formidable litigator. Everyone took a seat at the polished mahogany table. Tension practically crystallized in the air. James cleared his throat. "Thank you for coming. Let's begin by clarifying the objective we're here to address: the release of the video, the misconduct of Ms. Stone, and how we move forward to ensure the best outcome for Mrs. Greenwood and her unborn child." Elijah shot Olivia a seething look. You humiliated me. She swallowed her anger. I did nothing except protect myself. The world saw the truth. You're the one who humiliated me, us, by flaunting your mistress and allowing that assault to happen. Rachel Donovan interjected. We'd like to see the original copy of the footage. Our team believes it could have been edited to portray Ms. Stone and Mr. Greenwood in a misleading light. James handed over a USB drive. That's the unedited version. You'll find it's the same. The timestamp is consistent. The audio is crystal clear. Ms. Donovan, there's no distortion here. For a moment, Rachel sifted through the files on her laptop, frowning. She realized the evidence was airtight. Her posture shifted from aggressive to conciliatory. Well, Ms. Stone's actions were out of line. As for Mr. Greenwood, you can see he tried to stop her. Not nearly enough, Olivia snapped. She took a deep breath, forcing composure. Elijah, I'm not trying to milk you for money. I have plenty given that we're married. But I won't allow this to continue. James slid a document forward. These are potential terms for a legal separation with an option to file for a no-fault divorce based on irreconcilable differences. We have also included a clause for a restraining order against Ms. Stone. Should Ms. Stone approach Mrs. Greenwood or threaten her again, there will be immediate legal repercussions. Elijah's fingers tapped nervously on the table. You want a divorce? Olivia closed her eyes, momentarily tears burning behind her lids. She opened them to glare at him. You've left me no choice. Either you end your affair immediately and publicly disavow Rebecca Stone, or we separate. And believe me, Elijah, I have enough evidence for a massive settlement and full custody of our child. Not to mention the public image disaster you're already facing. He ran a hand over his face. Do you think you can threaten me into compliance? It's not a threat. It's the reality you created, Olivia said. Choose her, and you lose me, your child, and possibly your fortune. Or choose me, and prove you'll do right by our family. But if you do, the first condition is a restraining order against Rebecca. Silence descended. Elijah looked, torn eyes flicking between the documents on the table and the stormy gaze of his wife. In that moment, he seemed to recognize the gravity of his actions, the family he had betrayed. But was it enough to make him change course? Eventually he mumbled, "Let me think it over." Rachel nodded, grabbing Elijah's elbow, and they left the conference room. Olivia watched the door close behind them, a pang of sadness under her anger. She had loved him deeply once. Now she saw only a weak man swaying in the face of accountability. James turned to her gently. "How do you feel?" She exhaled shakily. "Terrible, but also free. If he chooses her, I'm done. I won't compromise anymore." While Elijah deliberated his next move, Rebecca seethed. The leaked video had drawn a storm of negative press. Overnight, she became a pariah in the social circles she had so carefully cultivated. Sponsors for her personal projects evaporated. The exclusive invitations ceased. People whispered behind her back at every gathering she dared to attend. The same men who once clamored for her attention now distanced themselves from the scandal. Angered by the abrupt shift in her fortunes, she blamed Olivia for everything, convinced the pregnant wife had leaked the footage out of spite. She tried phoning Elijah, only to have her calls frequently ignored or cut short. On the rare occasions he did answer, he sounded vague, burdened. The man, who once offered her the world, now acted like she was a liability. Fueled by desperation, Rebecca devised a plan. In the depth of night, she crept toward Greenwood Mansion, parked her car a short distance away, and made her way through a side gate. Olivia was asleep in an upstairs bedroom. The staff had mostly retired. The security system was activated, But Rebecca knew the basics of bypassing censors from her earlier visits. She slinked into the garden, past the hedges, and approached the glass doors leading to the living room. Inside, subdued lights cast a warm glow. Rebecca tried the door, locked. Cursing silently, she fumbled for a hairpin in her purse, but the lock was too sophisticated. Her frustration burned. She peered through the glass, glimpsing a faint silhouette moving upstairs. She realized with bitterness that if she couldn't physically confront Olivia, she needed to unleash havoc another way. She took out her phone, pressed record, and began speaking in a hushed voice, spinning her version of the events, accusations that Olivia had physically attacked her, that the pregnant wife had staged the entire incident for blackmail. "I'm here to beg for peace." Rebecca lied to the camera, but they won't even open the door. They leaked that video to ruin me. Olivia Greenwood is the real villain. She recorded this twisted narrative with crocodile tears, hoping to garner sympathy online. Little did she know that security cameras around the property were capturing her every move, and the guard on duty noticed suspicious movement on the monitors. Soon, an alarm was triggered. Spotlights illuminated the garden. Rebecca froze like a deer in headlights, phone clattering from her hands. The guard dashed out with a flashlight, ordering her to stop. Panicked, she fled the property, narrowly making it to her car before the police arrived. She zoomed off into the night, the shrill echo of sirens trailing her. Inside the mansion, Olivia stood at her bedroom window, heart pounding. She hadn't seen the intruder's face, but she suspected it might be Rebecca. Fear and anger warred within her. She realized how far her husband's mistress would go for retaliation, and she knew the final showdown was imminent. Days passed in a tense stalemate. Elijah, feeling cornered, tried to contact Olivia repeatedly. At James Campbell's urging, she refused to meet him alone. She had heard from the mansion's guard that the intruder who fled was indeed a tall brunette in a sleek sports car. The guard suspected it was Rebecca Stone. After the incident, Olivia petitioned the court for a temporary restraining order against Rebecca, providing the security footage as evidence. A hearing was set to finalize it. In the meantime, Olivia moved out of the Greenwood mansion for her own safety, temporarily residing at a friend's penthouse downtown. She felt heartbreak at leaving her home, but relief that she no longer breathed the same air that once stank of betrayal. She also set up an advanced security system to protect herself from future intrusions. The hearing day arrived, a modest courtroom filled with legal professionals and a handful of journalists, all hungry for details of the Greenwood scandal. Olivia sat with James, her posture exuding confidence, though her hands trembled slightly at her lap. Elijah was present, looking drawn, trying to avoid eye contact with her. Rebecca Stone appeared in stylish attire, her face tense. Her lawyer remained stoic by her side. The judge called the session to order. James presented the evidence, the footage of the assault, the pictures of the nighttime intrusion, the previous audio and video recordings capturing Rebecca's aggression. Rebecca's lawyer attempted to argue that the video was incomplete and that she only slapped Olivia in self-defense. Gasps rippled through the small courtroom at the absurdity of that claim. But the judge, unimpressed by empty words, studied the unedited footage carefully. The moment of the slap was unmistakably unprovoked. The intrusion on the mansion's property was recorded from multiple angles. The judge lifted his gaze over the rim of his glasses. "Ms. Stone, your actions are clearly documented. I find it hard to see how you can claim self-defense." A hush fell. Rebecca's cheeks burned. She glanced at Elijah, who kept his eyes on the floor. At last, the judge spoke. I'm granting Ms. Greenwood's request for a restraining order effective immediately. Ms. Stone, you are not to approach Mrs. Greenwood or her residence under any circumstances. Failure to comply will result in arrest. Rebecca let out a small hiss, her eyes tearing with frustrated rage. As the gavel banged, ensuring that the restraining order was set, she lunged out of her seat, ignoring her lawyer's attempts to restrain her. "You did this to me," she screamed at Olivia. "You'll pay for her." Lawyer and a bailiff quickly subdued her, though the tension in the room soared. Cameras clicked, capturing her enraged expression. The bailiff escorted her out, muttering about contempt of court if she didn't calm down. Olivia watched, her heart thumping. Elijah remained still, shoulders sagging. Outside the courtroom, a throng of reporters swarmed, cameras flashing. They peppered Olivia with questions about the affair, the assault, the restraining order. She offered a simple statement: "I want peace for my unborn child. I trust the legal system to protect us." Then James whisked her away to a waiting car. That night, the local news and social media exploded with coverage. Rebecca Stone's meltdown was the lead story on every talk show. Public sympathy swung heavily in Olivia's favor, painting her as the wronged wife, standing up to a conniving mistress. Olivia Greenwood, now famously entangled in the scandal, withdrew from public appearances, issuing a bland statement about family matters. For the first time, it seemed the tide had turned firmly in Olivia's favor. A week later, Elijah reached out to Olivia through James, requesting a private meeting without lawyers, media, or any possibility of eavesdropping. He insisted it was important. Initially hesitant, Olivia ultimately agreed, hoping for closure. They met at a quiet cafe outside town. Olivia arrived first, seating herself at a corner table by the window, her bodyguards discreetly stationed nearby. Dressed in a flowing maternity dress, she cradled her belly with one hand. She now carried the quiet confidence of someone who had faced her demons and refused to be broken. Elijah slipped in wearing dark sunglasses. He looked every inch the disgraced millionaire, weighed down by scandal and guilt. Sitting opposite her, he removed his sunglasses, revealing tired eyes. For a few seconds, neither spoke. The memory of their early love and the child they had conceived out of that love hung unspoken between them. Finally, Elijah cleared his throat. "Olivia, I'm sorry. I've ended things with Rebecca." She studied him carefully. "And I'm supposed to believe you?" He gave a defeated shrug. "You don't have to believe me. I just want you to know she's out of my life, especially after that court fiasco. She's turned vindictive. My associates have threatened to pull out of deals because of the bad publicity. Everything's a mess." Olivia's expression hardened. "So you didn't end it because you realized you hurt me beyond measure. You ended it for business reasons." Elijah's face flickered with regret. "That's not fair. I do care about you and the baby. I lost my head. I got swept up in something new, exciting, and I was too blind to see the damage." She folded her hands over her stomach. "So what do you want? Another chance? Do you imagine we can go back to how we were?" He glanced away, voice trembling. "I'm begging you, let's try to salvage our marriage. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to be a distant father." The old Olivia might have melted, might have crumbled at his sorrowful plea. But she remembered the sting of betrayal the night Rebecca slapped her, Elijah's absolute failure to protect her. She recalled the deception, the humiliations, the lonely nights crying herself to sleep. "Why should I trust you again?" she asked softly. He leaned forward, voice urgent. "I'll do anything you ask. I'll publicly denounce Rebecca, hold a press conference if you want, give you full financial transparency, sign any post-nuptial agreement. Just come home." A swirl of emotions battled in Olivia's mind. She thought of how this man had once been her everything, how she carried his child. But she also remembered how close she had come to losing herself in his betrayals. Finally, her voice quavered, with a mixture of sorrow and resolve. "It's too late for that, Elijah. Our love, you destroyed it, and I deserve better. Our baby deserves a stable, loving environment, not a father who strays and allows his mistress to assault me." Tears welled in Elijah's eyes, but he nodded slowly, as if realizing the depth of his loss. In that moment, the ring of his phone cut through the tension. He glanced at the screen, grimacing. "It's my attorney. I have to." Olivia lifted a hand. "Go. We're done here." He lingered for a moment, searching her eyes for any sign of mercy. Seeing none, he stood up and left the sun shining harshly on him as he stepped out of the cafe. For the first time, Olivia felt a sense of finality, a sense that she was walking away from a broken life into an unknown but possibly brighter future. Over the next few months, the legal separation proceeded smoothly thanks to the overwhelming evidence stacked in Olivia's favor. Elijah agreed to a generous settlement, a substantial trust fund for their child, and relinquished any claim to physically cohabitate with Olivia unless she changed her mind. He also agreed to monitored visitation rights upon the child's birth, dependent on Olivia's comfort level. Throughout her final trimester, Olivia experienced moments of sorrow and nostalgia. The Greenwood mansion, which she had once loved, became a symbol of heartbreak. She chose to sell it, wanting a fresh start. With the settlement, she purchased a smaller but cozy estate in a family-friendly neighborhood near the city. She designed a bright, cheerful nursery, hung pastel curtains, and arranged plush toys for the baby's arrival. News of Elijah Greenwood's downfall circulated among business circles. His brand took a severe hit. Investors pulled out, fearing the scandal's stain. As for Rebecca Stone, rumors swirled that she had fled Virginia, seeking a new playground for her social climbing. Some claimed she tried to blackmail Elijah for hush money, but her credibility was shot, and her name was tarnished beyond repair. Meanwhile, Olivia found herself at the receiving end of compassionate support from old acquaintances and from strangers alike who reached out on social media to commend her bravery. She continued her charity work, hoping to turn her pain into a force for good. She also took prenatal classes, forming new friendships with other expectant mothers who marveled at her strength. In the quiet of her new home, she often replayed the chain of events that led her here. The betrayal, the violence, the public showdown, the heartbreak, and ultimately the choice to forge her own path away from the shadows of Elijah Greenwood. Olivia went into the labor on a calm evening, the sky painted with a pink and gold sunset. She called Karen Brown, her loyal nurse, and rushed to the hospital. After hours of labor pains amidst tears and determination, she brought a beautiful baby girl into the world. She named her Hope, a testament to what she had clung to in her darkest hours. Elijah, alerted by hospital staff, arrived at the waiting room. He desperately wanted a glimpse of his child. Torn between anger and empathy, Olivia eventually allowed him a brief visit. For a few tender minutes, he stood at Olivia's bedside, gazing at Hope with awe and sorrow. "She's perfect," he whispered, tears brimming. Olivia, exhausted but resolute, nodded. "She is." They exchanged no more words. For her, the baby's birth signified a new beginning free from the shackles of betrayal. For Elijah, it was a bittersweet reminder of what he'd lost. Weeks later, Olivia settled into a routine as a single mother with the unwavering support of friends, family, and professionals. Late-night feedings were tiring, but each time she looked into Hope's eyes, she felt a surge of purpose. No longer was she the submissive wife who lived in Elijah's shadow. She had her own life, her own resources, her own voice. As part of her healing journey, she recorded a heartfelt video message, this time intentional, not covert. Sitting in Hope's pastel nursery, she filmed herself sharing her story, her vulnerabilities, and her newfound strength. She spoke directly to women who might be enduring a similar ordeal, urging them to stand up for themselves, to document evidence, to trust their instincts. She emphasized how shame and silence only enable abusers and betrayers to continue. Your worth, Olivia said in the video, eyes shining with conviction, is not determined by someone else's disrespect. No matter how powerful they are, no matter how deeply you've loved them, when they treat you like less, you must fight for your dignity. She posted the video on her social media accounts. Within days, it went viral, garnering an outpouring of support. Women from all walks of life thanked her for shining a light on betrayal and domestic abuse. Donations to her chosen charity soared, and she realized that her personal nightmare had become a rallying cry for others seeking hope. Elijah remained largely absent, consumed by legal battles, financial losses, and a tarnished reputation. Sometimes he messaged wanting to see the baby, but Olivia made it clear he had to abide by the scheduled visitation plan. Slowly, she felt the heartbreak recede. A cautious sense of peace replaced it. Olivia Greenwood's life became a testament to resilience. No longer defined by her husband's betrayal, she stepped forward as a woman who had reclaimed her power. Yes, the scandal rocked the high society of Hillside Heights. Yes, tongues wagged for months. But in the end, Olivia realized she owed no explanations to gossipmongers. Her focus was on her daughter Hope, a delicate life born amidst chaos, now swaddled in the promise of love and stability. Elijah's fate receded like a cautionary tale, and Rebecca Stone's name vanished as quickly as her once grand ambitions. Today, Olivia stands on her own, forging new business ventures and dedicating herself to charity efforts that empower other women. And each night, as she cradles hope in the soft glow of a bedside lamp, she whispers, "We are free," embracing the quiet strength she fought so hard to earn. It was a fierce fight, recorded and won. Thank you for joining me on this intense journey of heartbreak, betrayal, and ultimate triumph. Olivia's story shows us that sometimes the people closest to us can become our greatest adversaries, yet within that darkness, there's always hope. If you were riveted by her struggle, if you felt your heart pound when she stood up against injustice, imagine what a little more awareness and courage can do in real life. Now, I'd love your support in spreading this powerful message of resilience and self-worth. Like this video if you believe in Olivia's fearless stand. Share it with friends or family who might need a reminder that no matter the betrayal, there's a path to victory. And subscribe to my channel for more real-life drama stories, heart-stirring moments, and lessons we can all learn from. Together, let's celebrate bravery and keep inspiring one another